Coulon. I am pleased to be here today. I work in Thales, and I am a CPU enthusiast. So in my life, I have known two revolutions. The first one was the introduction of internet, and the second one was the birth of open source for hardware. So for 4 years, I work for industrialization of CVS, maybe you know, it's a RISC-V processor. And I am the main committer of CVS repository at Open Hardware Group. So today, I am pleased to be here with you. I will share my experience on this topic, how to leverage open source for industry. So I have to, yes, I don't have the, sorry. So first of all, thanks very much to the collaborative project. That's an incredible opportunity to use RISC-V to insert open source in our product. I think about Spears, IPCube, and big consortiums, which are Tristan and Isolt. So what is open source? It is a sharing of specification, like RISC-V specification, or code, like RTL. But that's the tip of the iceberg, because RTL is nothing without verification and is nothing without certification. And open source is nothing without discussion, collaboration, and roadmaps. And open source is made easier by the fact that no NDA is needed for between companies to discuss and to work together. So the competition between closed source and open source is unfair. In closed source, the power of development, the power of creativity and innovation is limited to the power of your team. With open source, we develop faster. The products are with higher quality and with higher performance. And we have to know also that open source is based on meritocracy. So for contributors, that's the opportunity to contribute, to increase their e-reputation, and also to get the recognition from the community. So why open source hardware is beyond Linux or other software open source? So for software, software uses tools which are open source based, so it is cheap. And the verification is quite light because you can update, for instance, your software. While for hardware, it is not the case because verification requires a lot of human resources. You need maybe to get a certification. And as you know, the CAD tools are very expensive. So to summarize, RTL alone, it is nothing. And the added value, it is the verification or the certification. The drawback is that verification and certification are costly. So if you would like to look at a repository with RTL plus verification, you can go to GitHub on the CVS repository and clone it. So the CVS ecosystem is growing. So Jérôme Quevremont leads the CVS project at Open Hardware Group. So you can identify Jérôme because we have the same T-shirt, which is an orange mechanical T-shirt, so you can see us. And so this year, the second CVS workshop took place in Marseille. So I would like to thank all the contributors. So there is 10x engineers, there is Minio University, Plan V, Open Hardware Group, of course, Accelera, ETH Zurich, CEA, Bosch, and so on. Sorry if I miss one organization. So if you would like to join the community, clone it. So when you are a committer and you open your email box in the morning, sometimes you have some gift. For instance, 4 years ago, the Ariane, it was the previous name of CVS X, was transferred from ETH Zurich to Open Hardware Group. The objective was the industrialization of CVS X. So it was delivered with the open Pythons, the capability to connect several CVS X together. Thales introduces the 32-bit version, so CVS X can be 64 or 32-bit, and the CVX interface to connect the coprocessors. Tenix engineers provided the BitManip extension, maybe two years ago. And Thales also has adapted Linux, ported Linux to work on the CVS X by doing also some optimization of footprint. And ETH Zurich and Accelera have worked on the vector extension to be able to do vector with vector instruction on CVS-X with the connection of a coprocessor. The hypervisor mode extension was added by Minho University, and HPD cache by CA, and Open Hardware Group helped us on verification with the spike tandem to compare the RTL behavior with a reference model, which is Spike. So open source brings new challenges. We can wonder how to leverage open source, how to guarantee the code integrity and the quality of the code, how to insert intellectual property in our product, and how to exploit the code. So we have to know that in an active project, as it is the case for CVS-X, each day you have some commits, and some are huge. I mean, for instance, HPD cache, so you change the cache, or the dual issue to boost the performance of the processor. So some companies choose to fork and to grow on their own. Other companies choose to cherry pick the wanted commits. But many companies think that doing it is doing open source. But it's quite easy, it's quite heavy to resynchronize after all the branches. And this limits also the number of contributions and the quality of the repositories. So the option chosen by Thales was to be in sync with master branch, to reduce the maintenance effort, to integrate bug fixes, to improve the functionality also, and to influence the development of CVS-X. So open source is a great opportunity to create best-in-class industrial product. But how to guarantee that the integrity of the product? Maybe some bugs can alter your product, or maybe some Trojan horses can attack your product. So the solution is to review carefully all the pull requests by analyzing the delta between the previous version and the pull request. Is also to generate the code and the functional coverage, maybe to detect dead code or something else, and to launch for each pull request, to launch a continuous integration and to test the regression. So IP protection, that's a key challenge for company, because of course, IP, it is the added value for the company, to make the product compliant with applications like security, safety, and so on. So this added value, of course, if you push this IP on GitHub, you will lose your IP, and so you will reduce also your added value. So that's not the solution, of course. So the solution is to take the best of the two worlds. I mean, you take what is on open source for the functionality, because it is up to date, it is performance, and so on. And you stack over, for instance, the commits for your security, for your safety, what else, and so on, in a private environment. So, open source, it is like the European Parliament. Not all the companies, all the parties have the same ideas. They do not have the same objectives. But you have to remain master of your choices. You must be able to exploit your code. So to do it, one solution is to lead the open source working groups, maybe to become a committer of the repository. And you have to know that if you use open source is allowed by the exportation right. So it's a guarantee that you can sell and exploit your code. So I have 5 techs to leverage open source. The first one is to commit widely on the open source, except what is your added value. The second one is that you have to commit the RTL, of course, but also the verification or the certification. The third thing is that you have to be sync on the master branch. And also you have to participate to the lead of open source. And the final point is that, as told previously, you have to combine the best of the two worlds, the open source world and the private world with your IPs. And it is a combination of the two worlds that will create the best products. So we have applied the 5 techs on the CVS X repository. So don't hesitate, clone it. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Jean-Roch. We have a couple of minutes left, so we can take some audience questions. Yes, microphone down the front here.
Yeah, hi, thank you for the presentation. Are there any plans also for ASIC synthesis, either by closed or open PDK that are available? Have you thought about either with Thales or Open Hardware Group to also go into the direction of ASIC?
I didn't discuss the relation between hardware and software, and for sure we are it is very close with software. We have a booth on Open Hardware Group just to see that we are able to run Linux, RTOS, BAO, and so on CVSX. So maybe we can explain us what is possible with CVSX on the booth.
Okay, any other questions? Yeah, one over just there.
Hi, thank you very much for the presentation. So one question which I feel is really relevant if you want to really sell a product. So what about product liability? So who is responsible for what?
Yes, for sure, the business model is very different. Usually we buy something, there is a contract, and so maybe you have some guarantees that it works and so on. So the model is completely different. So for sure, we have to develop the ecosystem. So in the ecosystem, maybe you have big companies, small companies that can take guarantee you that all the tools are okay, that you can have support, and so on. So it is what we are doing for CVSX. We are trying to create an ecosystem to support for the future, for the next years, 10 years, 20 years, the CVSX. So for sure, that's a challenge of open source.
Okay. I think one last quick question. No, in that case, I get my question. What else do you need to take this project forward, Jean-Roch?
So we need, maybe we can discuss together if somebody is interested by CVSX, but the goal is to create this ecosystem. So don't hesitate to join the project. The ecosystem is growing, but there is room to grow again.
Great. Okay, thank you very much, Jean-Roch.
Thank you.